Some pretty incredible news coming out yesterday that's going to be impacting everybody. As take a look at the headlines. Biden unveils Plan B after Supreme Court strikes down the forgiveness for student loans. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of you might be saying, well, I don't collect student loans, Steve. This is not going to be impacting me. Well, not exactly. What we're hearing is, take a look at this. What the Supreme Court ruling against Biden's student loan forgiveness plan could mean for the U.S. economy. And what we're hearing is there's roughly about 40 million Americans that hold student loan debt and would have gotten $10,000 to $20,000 of pretty much a stimulus check to wipe out student loans. But what they're saying is there's 287 million Americans that do not hold student loans, and this is actually good news for them because they're saying this executive action by the president would have allocated an additional $400 billion of new spending to wipe out that debt, which would have sparked further inflation, caused prices to go up, would have probably made interest rates go higher. And they're saying that this is actually good news for the average American that does not hold student loan debt. Wow. Now, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to be covering the details for you in this article. And also, as I mentioned, though, Biden said he's not giving up. He said there is a plan B, and he's going to be pushing for this because he had actually ran his presidential campaign on the promise of wiping out student loan debt of up to $10,000. But there's been a whole lot of promises, and there's been not a whole lot of action. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm going to dive into this, though, and get you caught up on the latest as to what is taking place. Now, in addition to that, be sure to stick around because I know a lot of people need some sort of financial help. And what we're hearing is there actually is over 1 million people. There's people in each and every single state in the U.S. that have tax refunds, stimulus checks, an assortment of other provisions, stimulus provisions that they missed out on during the pandemic that is still available to them, but only for a limited amount of time. You must act. And in addition to that, Social Security, child tax credits, there's other stimulus provisions that are coming back. And I'm making sure that I'll get you caught up on the latest. So let's go ahead and dive right in. But before we do me a quick favor. If you appreciate these updates, keeping you up to speed on everything taking place, don't forget very quickly, smash the like button for me. Just takes a second. Thank you so much. Also, if you want to stay up to date, totally free. Why not? Hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. And if you want to become a member and support the channel, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just hit the join button. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so first up, link in the description below to this article came out yesterday. As you know, I cite the sources, put them on the screen, read right from them so you can see it's the latest. And also, let me know your thoughts on this. Should they wipe out the student loan debt? Keep in mind it's $400 billion of new spending. But if they don't do it, it saves us that money. And as they mentioned, you're going to see in this article, it's going to save us from a whole lot of inflation. And also keep in mind that if they did that, that's about as much as the $1,400 stimulus check to everybody in the nation. Instead of doing the student loan debt forgiveness, they could do a stimulus check instead if they decide that they want to spend the money. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but let's take a look at this article that says the Supreme Court struck down the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness plan on Friday yesterday. While the bombshell ruling will undoubtedly be a blow to borrowers who had hoped, perhaps even expected, that they'd have up to $20,000 of their student loan debt erased, the verdict is unlikely to be consequential to the U.S. economy at large, economists said. The Supreme Court decision to strike down loan forgiveness should have no meaningful impact on the economy, Mark Zandi, the chief economist at Moody's Analytics, said. Now, the fight against inflation gets a boost. It's challenging to judge the economic effect of a sweeping policy such as student loan forgiveness. If it had passed, it might have had a few broad, though marginal effects on the economy. For one, debt relief might have raised the standard of living for millions of households. With debt payments erased, consumers would have had more wiggle room in their budgets and would have pumped more money into the economy, economists said. Estimates suggest that consumers would have spent about 3 to 6% of the increased wealth on new and accelerated purchases, according to a committee for a responsible federal budget. So they're saying this would have been inflationary. That dynamic may have exasperated inflation, says economists. Put another way, if consumers had more wealth, such as, say, $20,000 to spend on goods and services, that may have served to prop up prices. Overturning student loan forgiveness is therefore somewhat deflationary and means that the Federal Reserve may not have to raise borrowing costs as much as it otherwise would have if forgiveness succeeded, economists said. Inflation has fallen significantly to a 4% annual rate from its 9.1% pandemic-era peak, but remains elevated above the central bank's 2% long-term target. This will work in the direction of further slowing consumer spending, said Shaya Akabis, Executive Director of the Economist Policy at the Bipartisan Policy Center, and that will directionally contribute toward the Fed's goal to getting inflation back to its target levels. So it honestly sounds like good news for the vast majority of people, but for those that were hoping to see that student loan debt forgiveness, not the best news for them. However, as we mentioned, take a look. Biden unveils Plan B after the Supreme Court strikes down the forgiveness. Now, just hours after the Supreme Court struck down the president's student loan forgiveness plan, the White House came back on Friday with several avenues to support borrowers. The Biden administration is seeking to provide debt relief under the Higher Education Act. So now he is trying a Plan B of the 1965 and has initiated that regulatory process. Additionally, the Education Department is creating a temporary 12-month on-ramp repayment program that removes the threat of default if borrowers miss payments once they restart in October. Third, the administration finalized a new income-driven repayment plan that it called the most affordable repayment plan in history. The goal is to ease some of the financial strain many borrowers face when it comes to their student loans and is a direct response to the Supreme Court's decision earlier on Friday. I believe that the Supreme Court's decision to strike down debt relief was a mistake. It was wrong, President Biden said Friday afternoon in a press briefing. It will take longer, but it's the best path that remains, he added, regarding the steps the administration is taking to provide debt relief. We're not going to waste any time on this. Now, let's cover the 3 items that Biden has said that they're going to be doing. So the first is debt relief. The Education Secretary on Friday initiated a rule-making process in an effort to open an alternative path to debt relief for as many working and middle-class borrowers as possible, under the authority provided by the Higher Education Act, according to the White House fact sheet. The Education Department on Friday issued a notice that announced a virtual public hearing on July 18th and asked for written comments from stakeholders. After the hearing, the department will finalize the issues that need to be addressed and hold negotiated rulemaking sessions this fall. The White House fact sheet did not make clear if the Biden administration is pursuing the same forgiveness plan parameters that the court struck down. Under that plan, the federal government planned to forgive $10,000 for individuals that make less than $125,000 and for households that earn less than $250,000, and an additional $10,000 in forgiveness goes to those who received need-based Pell Grants or $20,000 in student loan debt relief. The White House press office did not immediately respond to an email to clarify the debt relief parameters it was pursuing under the Higher Education Act. Now, the on-ramp repayment plan, Part 2. The administration also unveiled a plan to help borrowers when they restart their pause payments in October. For 12 months, borrowers won't be penalized for late, missed, or partial payments. Borrowers don't have to take any action to qualify for the program. The payments will still be due and interest will still accrue during the 12 months, but the interest will not capitalize at the end of the on-ramp period. Borrowers who miss payments won't be reported to credit bureaus, won't be considered in default, and won't be referred to collection agencies for those payments. The administration encouraged borrowers who can afford to pay their payments to do so. And the new income-driven repayment plan. Last, the administration finalized the Saving on a Valuable Education, or SAVE plan. The White House said that the new income-driven repayment plan will cut borrowers' monthly payments in half, allow many borrowers to pay $0 in monthly payments, and prevent balances from growing due to unpaid interest. The plan makes loan payments more affordable in the following ways. The most borrowers must pay toward their undergraduate loans is 5% of their discretionary income, down from 10%. No borrowers making less than 225% of the federal poverty level will have to make a monthly payment. Loan balances will be forgiven after 10 years of payments instead of 20 years if the original loan balance was $12,000 or less. Borrowers won't be charged with unpaid monthly interest, so balances won't grow if they make their payments, even if that monthly payment is $0 because their income is low. Student borrowers in repayment can enroll later this summer before monthly payments restart. Borrowers who sign up or are already signed up for the Revised Pay As You Earn or the Repay Program plan will be automatically enrolled in this new plan. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and I will never stop fighting for borrowers, said Educational Secretary Miguel Cardano in a statement, which is why we are using every tool available to provide them with the needed relief. So President Joe Biden has made a plan B to get this done, but let me know your thoughts. Should they be pursuing this? They're doing so very aggressively when at the same time there were other promises made for stimulus checks, child tax credits, Social Security increases, free childcare, free college tuition, and a lot of people are saying are broken promises. Now, let me know your thoughts, but in the meantime, we're also hearing that Social Security is coming to the forefront. If you missed some of my recent videos on it, you're going to want to check it out, as there are new bills being proposed, proposals for raises, and also, as I let you know, there is a limited amount of time to collect missed stimulus provisions. The IRS let us know that you have got to notify them right away if you missed out on any of those stimulus provisions that you should have got, so that way you can get them in a tax refund. And so if you missed that video, be sure to check it out right here as I cover all the details for you. And with that being said, though, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be sure to keep you up to date as more information rolls out. But that is the latest. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.